Debuting originally in MedaSurvivor and designed by the legendary Shimizu Eiichi, the co-creator of the modern Ultraman. It is PSG00 Matronoir, with a kit of Short Hammer, Whip, Thunderclaw, biped legs, and the leg ability of Clincher, which buffs power when attacking a target that cannot dodge or defend. Now, Medarot has most certainly not been at a lack of femme fatale type models, and there have been several through the course of its many years of designs, both original and fan-made. But Matronoir takes everything to an extra step as a prison guard type theme model, and this means that anyone that's caught within her clutches or even on her radar as an enemy target is guaranteed they're not going anywhere anytime soon, and they're going to suffer for every move she makes. Short Hammer on the head part is a melee attribute skill with an AoE effect to it, which means it'll be damaging all the parts of the enemy that it attacks and spreading the damage across them. This, however, can be negated or evaded by anyone that is using a conceal effect that boosts their evade and sponges the damage, or by a shield that perhaps will sponge it all to the particular part tanking the blow. However, Short Hammer has a rather interesting caveat to it as an added bonus, and that's the fact that if attacking a target that has been stunned from a Thunder type of attack, so that can be Thunder, Hyper Thunder, Thunder Shot, or something of the like that paralyzes the enemy, Short Hammer gets a double damage boost as an added perk on top of that. And normally, AoE type of attacks are really hard to track consistent damage on because it is going to almost always spread the damage across all active parts. But with a base power of over 1700, middling closer to 1800, doubling that to close to 3600 before modifiers means that she's going to be packing a really nasty head bop when she goes in to attack that stunned enemy. Whip on the right arm is another melee skill that has another unique added bonus. It actually has two added bonuses at that. The first of which is it'll actually pull the target closer to the command line, which will give Matronoir a pretty solid bout in the ability of crowd control and terrain control, because she can actually stall enemy cooldowns if she can time it correctly by pulling the enemy back to the line and closer to her. Furthermore, Whip will also apply a stack of Hold on the target, which will debuff their heating and cooling by 25% and inflict them with a no dodge penalty on top of that. So again, tying into that theme of once you're caught, you're not going anywhere. Thunderclaw on the left arm is a scatter type skill that will damage one part normally and then two others randomly for extra damage. But true to its name as Thunderclaw, this also gives it the ability to stun targets and render them with a no dodge penalty through the course that is there. That gives you a very good opportunity to either regroup if you find yourself in a pinch, or buy yourself just a couple extra precious moments by stunning the more dangerous enemies. But if you're looking at the synergy here in particular, there is a lot of very good synergy between what Matronoir brings to the table. She can use Thunderclaw to stun the enemy and then follow up immediately with Short Hammer for a powerful 1-2 punish, or if you tie in her leg ability of Clincher, which buffs her power even more if the target can't dodge or defend, she can start with Whip, go to Thunderclaw to stun and hold them, and then go for Short Hammer to really make that head bop as painful as possible. When it comes to stats across the board, her legs are actually pretty solid in all realms that are worth noting. A base mobility of 907 is really nice, as this means she has a very solid speed boost before anything else comes into effect, such as Medarot bonus or terrain bonus or anything else. An evade of 1299 means that she's going to be dodging or grazing fairly consistently when she doesn't have a no dodge penalty on cooldown. And a melee resist of 1560 and a shoot resist of 1057 means she's going to be fairly solid in the damage reduction department too, so she can definitely take a hit just a little bit better than most, and given the fact that her design is definitely more along the lines of 50% leg, not that anyone's complaining, she definitely puts those powerful fives to good use. In the armor department, she's packing about 4379 for the head, almost 3900 for the right arm, just over 3400 for the left, and just shy of 4200 for the legs. So on top of having some pretty solid damage reduction for her legs resist stats, she's also got a fairly healthy HP pool as well to guarantee that she can keep herself going as long as possible. All this being said though, as a pure set score, very easily I have to rate Matronoir a pretty well-rounded 7 out of 10. And like I said, she is a fairly and very, very solidly synergetic model. And there's almost a kind of order of operations that you want to use if you choose to use Matronoir in your kit, in your team. You'd want to first start up with Whip, which would guarantee that the enemy would be inflicted with that hold status, which has the heating and cooling debuff and then the no dodge. Then while they're unable to dodge, you could follow up with Thunderclaw since it's guaranteed, and you can stun them, and then wrap it up with Short Hammer. But since you already inflicted the no dodge penalty with Whip, Clincher also comes into effect to really tie a lot of that damage together, so she can work on her own extremely well with no major assistance required from any supports or any or outside assistance from Metarotters. As mixed parts, I do have to rate her equally at a 7 out of 10 for these same reasons. Now, Short Hammer and Thunderclaw, obviously you are going to kind of use together if you can help it, because it's kind of a good 1-2 combo there. Whip, you may or may not have a little bit of trickiness trying to figure out, because while the hold status it does inflict is nice, the fact it does also pull enemy targets closer to the command line means if you time it incorrectly, you may accidentally accelerate an enemy's heating phase so that they instantly take their next turn right after you. As for her leg ability of Clincher though, that is extremely universal though, as if the enemy cannot dodge or defend at all, which means if it checks one or the other, that means it can be from an ailment or even from just a regular cooldown penalty, it's going to be triggering every single time it checks for one of those two penalties and finds one. So ultimately, it's a very synergetic model, like I said, that works both as a pure set incredibly well, but you could also even mix the parts up to make her just as nasty or just as dangerous. And again, as a prison guard type, anything that ends in her clutches is sure not to go anywhere and be punished horrendously the longer they stay in her clutches.